Hi guys, Raven here. Today is Tuesday, August 18th of 2020. Hope everybody's Tuesday is going well, or what's left of it. Uh, we only have less than 6 hours left before August 19th. Well, if you're on the East Coast, like I am. Although I live in Ohio and I'm kind of borderline toward getting really close to the Central Time Zone. Or does the Central Time Zone line begin at anyway? Anyway, this video is about two topics. One happened yesterday. As I was making a video, I got a call. And I had, my ride was outside. Because I had a doctor's appointment to go to. Why is that relevant? Well, as I was making a video talking about an incident that happened just before my phone rang and my ride was outside, the window was right here and I didn't even hear him pull up. I had a doctor's appointment. It's just a normal follow up on how everything is okay with my medications that I'm taking, and I think I take like 8 or 9 different medications. One of them is vitamins because my iron is low. Well, let me get a little backstory on that one. Back in May, I believe it was, they put one of these things on my fingers to check my oxygen level. My oxygen level was fine, but they said my hemoglobin was low. See, they want you to have a hemoglobin that's around 13.8 or up to 15%, whatever. I was at 13.1. I was like, okay, so my iron is down. That was the reason for the medication. So anyway, because that was part of the appointment yesterday. But well, it's what happened that was leading up to my appointment yesterday. I had gone into the kitchen to get a pack of, I guess I ate them all now, Lance peanut butter crackers. But these were the round cookie ones. Phone ringing. See, that call right here was going to be my second topic. And I'll address that after I get done with the first story. So anyway, I go into the kitchen and I'm trying to get me a pack of peanut butter and crackers. The snack one. It's a scammer calling me, so I'm making mine to it. Anyway, as I'm getting my, went to go reach for the box that are in, because there's like a box of, 8 on-the-go packs. At the time, I only had 2 left of those, because I eventually go grocery shopping later in the evening. And now I have, cream cheese and chives. I love those. As a matter of fact, I ate 3 packs of those today. That's a good deal. So, as I'm getting them crackers, I step on something and I let out a sharp pain. Now, the little backstory to that was on Sunday night. You could see Tuesday night, or Monday night, it's trash night. You take the trash out Monday night. The trash comes the next day, which would have been today, for pickup. So I'm sweeping the floor on Sunday night, and I call my landlord. Because you guys remember, I had made a video recently about a bed-bug issue that I had. So things were rearranged around, and I had no idea where my dustpan was. So I can't buy my dustpan, so I called my landlord. And I said, "Do you have a dustpan that I can use?" I keep in mind my landlord lives right across the driveway from me. And she goes, "Well, I'm at my daughter's right now, which lives in the same building. It's like a big house that has like 2 or 3 apartments in there. And I just happen to be living on a separate lot of the property, which is good. You know, it's nice and cozy. It's private. You know, I don't have to worry about anything. Got the windows shut. Nobody can hear anything. Like if I'm listening to music and as I'm playing Minecraft, you know, I can do all that stuff. So as I'm doing, so anyway, it's like, so she came over, you know, because she told me, whatever you got, you know, just sweep it up, and I'll bring my dustpan over, and I'll sweep the rest. Okay. So yesterday, thing in the floor was entirely swept. You know, I go in the kitchen and I had taken a step and I'm bringing my right foot down in front of the stove. Now, I hadn't used this stove in at least 2 months almost. And so there was nothing on it. It's legible, you know, it's a flat surface. So I had some things that were stacked on it because it wasn't on anyway. So I go, and as I planted my right foot down, I stepped on something and let out a sharp pain. And I let out a scream. I am fallen, which I probably should have given how painful it was. But I looked down after I'm done screaming, of course, in pain. You know, when you step on something and your feet's that sensitive, it wouldn't scream. But keep in mind, I'm in my 40s, so I did that. And I stepped on something. It was so bad that I was bleeding profusely. And I'm like, I gotta get to the phone because I gotta call somebody, anybody, you know. First I tried calling my aunt. She was out of town. I was like, oh, that's great. Then I tried calling my landlord. I couldn't get in. Well, it turns out she didn't answer my call at the time, but she was sure enough that I was going to leave a voicemail, but I didn't. And then I called another friend of mine who was a registered nurse, and I called him to see if he would come over and bandage up my foot. Couldn't get a hold of him either, so it just seemed like 3 phone calls. I'm trying to, at my intended target, I couldn't get any answer from any one of them, so it's like a 1, 2, 3, 3 strikes, you're out. So as a last resort, I called the paramedics. They came, they looked over at my foot. They said, we can't see where you're bleeding from. But it was my right foot. And I said, well, I can't see the bottom of my foot because I have cerebral palsy. So it's not like I can, you know, look at my leg in a certain way. I have to depend on people to be the eye to look at the bottom of my feet. So, turns out I didn't need to go to the hospital, but they said, you know, just get that foot clean. But they could tell I was that I had really done something because there was major puddles of blood. And the guy, one of the paramedics that said to me in front of my landlord, who was over here cleaning up the blood, because she knew if that didn't get cleaned up, that would stain on her floor. She owns the house. So, she was cleaning that up while I was talking to the paramedic, and then the paramedic said something to me, which I was surprised. He said, if you take any kind of ibuprofen medicine, like Tylenol, Advil, whatever, it will make your blood look like it's dead and make it look like you're bleeding out when you're not actually bleeding out. I didn't know this. I'm not in a medical profession, so I don't know. I mean, how am I supposed to know this stuff? So I was like, oh, okay, that's something I don't know right there. Um, so I was making a video about this, you know, documenting my encounter, and I still have more hair on my head at that point because my landlord eventually took me later to get my hair cut. So anyway, as I was making that video, that's when my ride called, said I'm outside. I said, oh man, you know, because I would see what I was thinking. I knew he was coming around 12:30. I knew this, but I was thinking since I had to be there at 12:50, that's where my wire go. That he wouldn't be out there yet, and he was out there. I was alright. I just need to get my 'cause I had to go through a couple of changes of clothes. My sock was completely drenched in blood. That's how bad I bled. Completely drenched in blood. So I go to see my doctor. She overhears me talking to the nurse, her aide, asked me if there was anything going on with me, any kind of new pains or anything. I said, well, I just slipped on a piece of glass a while ago and my foot hurts. Uh, the doctor's office said I was in there very Christian friendly. So I was trying to choose my words carefully. And so I said, it still hurts, but I'm not bleeding now. And so when the nurse's aide came in, she overheard it. She said, did I hear you say that you stepped on a piece of glass? I said, yeah. Because see, here's the thing. I knew where that piece of glass came from. Back in June, I got the jar of bread and butter pickles. That kitchen floor had been swept and mopped many times since then. Many times. And I just mentioned it Sunday night, even after I swept the floor, my landlord came over and swept it more thoroughly before, because she would bring her dustpan because I made the request of the dustpan. So that's where that piece of glass came from. But how I missed that, it was, I don't know, but that's how I ended up stepping on the glass because that pickle jar that I dropped back in June, evidently I missed it. Or, if I did, it probably wasn't at its original spot. They got moved to where I just happened to take the unlucky step and stepped on it, and there's a lot of blood coming out of my foot. So when I was at the doctor's office today, they looked at it. She cleaned me up. She had me sit up on one of their seats. They lay back and have you, when they try to feel for pains around your body and stuff like that. Well, they had you because the nurse or doctor, bless her heart, she is very friendly. I have never had a doctor like her, that be very caring. She took her time. She said, let me look and see if I can find this piece of glass. Sure enough, she found it. That's why I was still in pain. But I wasn't bleeding. And she pulled that glass out. And she poured alcohol and peroxide on it. Didn't burn. But she was pressing on it. And she knows I'm wincing in pain. She said, is it in pain from the alcohol and peroxide or because I'm pressing on it? I said, because you're pressing on it. Which is good because if it was because of the alcohol and peroxide, there would be that burning sensation. And that would have meant that there was an infection. So the fact that there was no pain coming from that means that there was no infection, but it still needed to be cleaned out. So she bandaged me up, then we went through the whole thing. But I ended up, I think not going to the hospital with the paramedics were here was the right call. And besides, I had to keep that appointment anyway because I keep getting my pain medication dependent on it. So that's that. That's what happened to me yesterday, on Monday. Now let's get to the phone calls. You heard the phone ringing while I was telling my story. That is the 5th call I've gotten today. And see and I know it's scammers. And the reason why I know it's scammers is because see what they would do is sometimes they would have all these phone numbers. They think that just by changing the last 4 digits of their number that, I'm going to answer. No. When you call from the same area code And same set of numbers before you get to the last 4 digits of the phone number. When the first 6 digits of the phone number are identical, 5 calls in a row, but not changing up that last 4 digits. Red flag, right? A huge red flag right there. And they were coming from San Jose, California. The area code was 408. And I looked up, it's like, it's a San Francisco Bay Area number. But it's more specifically located in San Jose. This particular caller has called me 5 times. Now, let's see. It is 6:22 p.m. So let me go back to the first call. The first call came at 5:03. The second call, same number, one, and not even a minute later, same in the same time, 5:03. The third call comes in at 5:20, but they changed up the last 4 digits. The fourth call came 7 minutes later. Again, changing the last 4 digits. And then the call you just heard about 13 minutes ago at 6:09 p.m. Same first 7 numbers. I say 7 because of 1. And then they change the last 4 digits again. See, when you get, that's a huge red flag right there that these are scam calls. Because why would you change the last 4 digits of your number? If you were a legitimate business, you would still be calling from that same first 4 digits. Or, last digits, I mean. Now I get it, some businesses have multiple phone numbers. I get that. But when you get a 5 calls persistent with the same 408, the second set, I don't want to give any numbers out because I don't want people to say, oh, I hear this number, I'm going to go look it up. I don't want to do that. Because if I give that number out, people calling, then they're going to be victims of those people calling them. So I just rather not, but I don't mind giving an area code. It's a 408 in San Diego, California. Or San Jose. See, when I think of the word San, I'm thinking San Diego. That's why I keep saying that, but it's San Jose. But that's what my last few days have been like. Dealing with a medical issue that was pretty much self-inflicted. So yesterday, after I got all my appointments done, my landlord took me to Great Clips to get my hair cut. Then we went to Walmart. I got some groceries up there to get some more crackers. And I was able to enjoy the rest of the night smooth sailing. And then today, I had to deal with these 5 calls from 4 different numbers. It's ridiculous. So, I wanted to try to keep this video as short as possible while trying to tell a story. Now, haircut, taking to get used to these new glasses that I've gotten. I think July 6th. No, August 6th. I mean, that's when I got them. No, August. I know I got them like a day early. I got them on August 5th. That was a Wednesday. I was originally supposed to get them on August 6th, which was a Thursday. So that means I've had these glasses for 13 days now. And I still haven't gotten used to them. I like them. I think they look a little bit better when I have more hair on my head. But I've seen pictures of hardened criminals on death row in Texas where they're older, they have haircuts like this, glasses that take up their face a little bit like this. Sounds like And I feel like I'm one of those condemned inmates on death row in the Alan B. Polinsky unit. And I believe it's in Livingston, Texas. But, Texas is the death row or death penalty capital of the world. I think Texas had executes more inmates than any other. Well, any other state for sure, but maybe probably more than any other country. They've executed over 500 inmates since the death penalty was reinstated back in 1976, before I was even born. So, I'm not going to say whether if I'm an opponent or I think a proponent. Let me just say this. I'm not going to say if I'm pro-death penalty or anti-death penalty, but I've seen some of the pictures of what those inmates look like. At least ones who have been executed, and or before they were executed, they were lots like this, black frames. But see, my frames are dark blue, so I like them. I just, I'm glad they're not red, because if they were red, then people would be accusing me of wearing rose-colored glasses when making statements. So I'm not blind to common sense, that kind of thing. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. It's going on 22 minutes, and I was not expecting to keep the video going this long. So I will see you in the next video.